Your son, as it pertains to competing, what do you think the biggest joy he's ever gotten out of competing?
This is gonna hurt. It's time for the Suffering Podcast.
These athletes don't know the adversity that they're going through.
So
They're never taught any better. Like you said, I mean, there's no racism in them.
No.
There's no hate in them. They
because
treat everybody.
that has to be taught.
Exactly. I say it all the time. Racism is a learned behavior.
Yes.
You look at a dog with 3 legs. Look at a dog with 3 legs. That dog will play. That dog will love you. Because that dog doesn't know. That dog doesn't know that anything is different in them at all. They just know they're a dog. That's the only thing they know. So if these kids, they just know what they know, and they're happy about it.
Well, my son, we used to ask him, do you know what Down syndrome is? You know, he was 12, 13 years old.
That's a tough question.
And he would go, it's because I'm bald. Like, okay.
And apparently,
Okay, what's for lunch?
Teach him that Down syndrome means he's very gifted down in the other areas.
Well, I do that once in a while. I go, look at that guy, he's got Downs.
As long as he doesn't have ups.
That was his, he had his own little clothing line, Down with Jake.
Really?
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Had his own emblem and stuff. And
he's taking it back. He should take the R word back.
Does he still have the
yeah, there's a website still out there.
Oh, Down with Jake.
Down with Jake. Let's go. Let's blow that one up.
Downwithjake.com?
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Now, getting back to the ringer.
Hey, Drew, could we get a perfect, thank you. We're going to put it up on our website.
Okay.
Getting back to the ringer for a second. In the Special Olympics community, how in general was that movie received?
Oh, everybody loved it.
Yeah.
Because it didn't portray Special Olympics in a bad light.
No, not at all.
It gave us a lot of exposure.
I think the uncle
was
what was wrong
with society.
It's an important part to play, and that guy, I forget his name. He's a very good actor. That's an important part to play
because in Super Troopers too.
Yeah, he was in Super Troopers. He was in Wolverine.
Yes.
That part there is, if you break that apart, it's you have Johnny Knoxville, who's like the average guy who could take or leave Special Olympics. Then you have the other guy that's looking to capitalize on something. It's kind of what's wrong with society. And then you have these guys that are just they're what's good in life, and you sort of change minds. And that's I was interested in that and how the general population of people involved in Special Olympics took that.
So when we do the summer games at college in New Jersey, our swim team has its own floor in the dorms because we're so big. So the common area, the mothers load up with food and drink, and they just they look forward to summer games so much because they're in each other's rooms. As a chaperone, I'm pulling boys out of girls' rooms.
But you know what it is? I mean, being part of Special Olympics, and you know this, we all look forward to that.
Yes.
It's the camaraderie.
Yes.
It's pulling boys out of girls' rooms?
No, I'm just saying.
Man.
The cops getting together, the cops with the athletes, the cops, the parents, and you know it, and you probably have your own, there's always one kid that adopts you.
Oh, yeah, without doubt.
And you become very close to their family.
And that's the thing, too. There's one that adopts us. We don't adopt them.
No, they adopt you.
They adopt you.
Yes.
Yeah. Look at Eric.
Yeah.
Eric is like the poster. I hate to say poster child. He's the poster child for like the polar bear plunge.
Yes.
And he knows everybody, and he remembers your name. He'll come running. We go down to Seaside and I want to get into all the polar bear plunges and all the different things that we do for Special Olympics, but he'll be walking down the boardwalk. He's like a movie star walking down the boardwalk in Seaside.
Yeah, everybody knows him.
Everybody knows him.
That's how my son is.
Yeah, Jake too.
That's why we call him the mayor.
Yeah.
Moving forward in Jake's life, is there? I know somebody was trying to put out a law stating that 2 people with special needs cannot marry, they cannot procreate. There was somebody trying to do that some time ago. Do you ever worry about that for your son?
So, I guess God had his own little plan. 99.9% of all Down males are sterile. And I was always like, that would be my kid. It'd be the one. But he's had a girlfriend for 3 years.
Yeah. Because I know that there was actually a group of people. It was people with special needs. There was little people weren't going to be able to procreate when there's proof that just because you're a little person doesn't mean you have a little person child. There's a higher likelihood, but it's not definite. And because I used to go to church when I was a little kid, and there was a child, he was a man with Down syndrome, and he got married. He got married to another person with Down syndrome. I don't think that they ever had children, but I always wondered about that because I read that a few years ago, and it was a little disgusting to me. Like, hey, let them do what they want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's to say they can't?
Look, there's a lot of people I follow on
Human
Instagram.
beings. They're human beings, just
Absolutely,
like everybody else.
They probably and
we go again. So you're a doctor. You get to choose, but the guy that's a little slower can't have what you have because he's not as smart as you. Or
but if you say Jake has the mentality of a 12-year-old, that's where I think the waters get a little muddied. Hey, listen, if I was 12 years old and I could have gotten laid, I would have been like, hell yeah, hell yeah.
You're almost 50 and you're still not getting laid.
I did twice.
It worked twice. There's people I follow on Instagram that are people with Down syndrome, high functioning, Down syndrome people, and you see these athletes. There's one girl, and I'm remiss because I can't remember her name, but I mean, she's like a 40-time national champion.
With the glasses.
Yeah, in gymnastics.
If that's the same one, she's an ambassador.
Oh,
She
yeah.
travels all over the world for Special Olympics.
And that's the other thing too.
Gives
We have
speeches
we have ambassadors. We have Bobby Fredericks.
Yep.
We have ambassadors, Special Olympics that are Special Olympics athletes that go all over and talk to different people about Special Olympics, and it's so heartwarming to see these people.
Yeah. So Jake might have the learning capacity, or not even that, but maybe just reading and writing, but he can take care of himself.
Yeah.
You know,
because I think that's every parent's every parent of a child with special need, their worst nightmare. I could see it as, I know Derek, our friend, says it that one day he's going to be shuffling off this mortal coil, and then is my child going to be able to take care of themselves? Because you don't want that child to be put in a home or a group home or something.
Not.
But one day you're not going to be here.
Oh, I had Jake late in life. I was 42 when he was born.
Right. So now, is that ever a concern for you, or you
All
just
the time.
Yeah.
I think about it all the time.
And is there a plan in place? Like, I don't even know what happens. I know my cousin he spent the last several years in it's a facility. It's from what
Like
I
a group
understand.
home.
Yeah, it's a group home. I hate to call it a group home, but it's a facility.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
But because it's a really nice one. It's
Oh,
really,
no,
really nice.
absolutely.
But do you have to set aside certain funding for that, or does the state take them in? I don't even know how that works.
The state will take them in, but the only thing with that is they only have to provide a roof, clothing, and food. So, like when Jake turns 18, we have to set up a special needs trust.
Mm.
Because if he has any money in his name, it knocks him out of like Social Security and.
They do that with elderly too.
Yeah.
If you had the last 5 years, you to get away all your assets.
So if my father-in-law passes away and gives 50 grand to him, thinking he's doing a good thing, he loses his Medicaid.
Oh.
So if it's in the trust, even if he's in a group home, if he wants to go to a Yankee game, he can take the money out.
Okay.
If he wants to buy, 10 pair of sneakers one day, he can. State doesn't have to provide that. They
Okay.
just have to provide him with one pair.
So that's nice because I worry about my children now being able to take care of themselves.
Yeah.
And
I worry about myself trying to take care of myself now.
there's a lot of special needs my kids have, but they're not the same special needs that they're
not registered.
They're not registered at all. Maybe they should be.
But even, I said to somebody, we'll just leave the money to our daughters and they can take care of them. And they said, what if your daughter gets divorced? She loses half to the husband.
Mm.
So the special needs, they can be executors of it and then, dictate where the money goes.
Because that's got to be an honest, real threat for you moving forward with him down his career. Because eventually, well, you had said, I think you were telling me that some of the athletes who go into these Special Olympics events are older than you.
Oh yeah, like I said, we call them kids all the time, but they're not kids. There are kids.
Well,
But
one of Jake's teammates passed away 2 or 3 years ago. He was 64.
yeah,
Wow.
I'm 59, and I was probably.
I'm not the oldest
55.
person in the room.
So
I still have hair.
your son,
See, here you go, good.
your son, as it pertains to competing, what do you think the biggest joy he's ever gotten out of competing?
I gave him his first medal.
Yeah.
Oh, he likes to win. That's for.
You know what?
He likes to please people.
Well, and that gets me to the motto of Special Olympics. Let me win. But if I cannot win, let me be brave in the attempt.
Yeah.
They want to win.
Oh God.
Don't get me
yes.
wrong, they want to win. But they're just as, if they come in second, they're just as happy,
Yeah.
Congratulating the first place guy.
Absolutely.
Oh, it's unbelievable. The camaraderie in Special Olympics, the bond that those athletes have together,
It is very special.
it really is. And that's why they call it Special Olympics, because it is special.
Now, there are several times, because this I found is universal with children. He gets you pissed off from time to time, doesn't he?
Oh hell yeah! Friday night.
Every
I thought his Italian mother was going to take him out.
Dad, can I take the car tonight? Shut up, Jake.
That's funny. He knows he's not going to be able to drive.
I was going to say that at 17, everybody else is getting their license.
When you're 10 years old, going, yeah, Jake, when you're 21, you can drive.
you ever let him get behind the wheel?
No.
No. He
Come on.
I've had him on the quad, and I take him on a motorcycle all the time. Loves that.
it's that's again, it's that you always hope people don't become self-aware, but you know that they are.
Even if he could drive, sometimes their decision making is poor.
Mm-hmm.
Or
because they could get distracted too.
No, mine
They'll
too.
be sitting there going, hey.
It's they might. I don't know if he would just drive through a red light, not seeing it, or not knowing what it's supposed to be, or not caring. Or...
Maybe looking at his dashboard lights.
Oh, squirrel. Which is me.
Yeah, but my wife does that too. It's just like red, blue, 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 blue. Yeah, it's very easily distracted. That's a interesting thing. So is he looking at some sort of job? What's he doing to move forward?
Well, the thing right now is he's, I want to be a police officer like you. And I'm like, you can't, not till you're 21 and you're going to talk to the chief for me. And yeah.
Well, are you 17? Is he in high school or is he in a specialized school? Or?
No, he's a senior.
He's senior high school?
I got to be honest.
He's actually been on the varsity swim team for this is his 4th year.
Really?
He lettered freshman year. He got his varsity letter before his sister, because she was softball in the spring.
I don't have any.
You have a varsity jacket and all that?
Oh yeah.
Well, look at him.
From the little you've told me about Jake, I don't think I have any hesitancy in allowing him to become a police officer. Even if you were to tell me his true mental age, and I'm not saying it is, his true mental age is 12, because have you seen some of the people they're hiring lately?
Hiring now? How about the ones I've worked with?
Right. I mean, you want to talk about bad decision making.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
That's what I always say. There's 44,000 cops in New Jersey, and not all of them I like.
Yeah.
Maybe 20,000 will make the 20,000 make the cut.
There's 44,000 cops in New Jersey, and there's like 6 that I like.
You know what's sad?
I'm kidding.
Sad
When
now
I get
is
pulled over coming out of here, don't
they're not even taking civil service test.
Yeah, that's going
Our
away.
department, I'm told, if you're female or of color, just walk in the front door.
Yeah.
And I get an application.
Fill out the application.
I'm like, oh my God, that was
Well, and that's another thing, not to get away from Special Olympics, but nobody wants to be a cop anymore.
No.
So they're scrounging to get cops. You're going to get the lower barrel people that are going to want to be cops now.
well,
Yeah, that's a story for now. Maybe you can come back next week and we'll talk about that.
when the mics aren't on.
So your son is sounds like an amazing young man, and
Truly is.
that's the luck.
yeah.
And I know it's got to be tough for your daughter, because I know your eyes are on him a lot.
Oh, absolutely.
And your daughter might feel neglected.
Beautiful girl, great athlete, great personality.
You're just like, she'll take care of herself.
But,
Don't worry about her.
Everybody comes up and, hey, Jake, and walks right past her.
But your daughter is like a mother figure to Jake too.
The younger one is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not his twin.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at some
It's-
point that's
it's-
going to change where she's going to wear that like a badge of pride.
Oh, absolutely.
I know
I mean,
she
she's very protective
Yeah,
of him.
very
but,
protective.
But they're also like me and my brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Don't hurt one of us, but we'll hurt each other.
Exactly.
And he was a cop too. We actually fought in uniform.
oh wow. So is there any?
Again, maybe come back next week and we'll talk about that.
It was off duty.
So is there
And
any plugs you want to throw out? Anybody where you want to lead our audience to?
If anybody wants to be a volunteer,
SON.
sonj.org.
Yep.
It's a great website. It has events, volunteers, and there's a lot of volunteers.
Oh.
Although the pandemic, I guess, did
Yeah.
a job on it because they were looking for volunteers for the golf outing, which we never had to do.
Yeah.
I think that'll come around again.
Summer games, there's hundreds of volunteers.
I mean, there are so many different things too. You got njletr.org. You know, the New Jersey Law Enforcement Torch Run.
well, that's within
Yeah.
SONJ too.
That's all within, SONJ. But if
is-
anybody wants to get involved in Special Olympics, it is a life-changing thing.
Yes.
It really is. Like I said, we have the summer games. We have the opening ceremonies for the summer games, which is a must-see event.
It's a 3-day event.
We have winter games. We haven't had it, but we had the plane pull in Newark Airport.
That was a lot of fun.
That's always a lot of fun. Me and you always used to team up on the runway, pulling the planes back. And
Yeah, I lose my voice every year.
we have 3 polar bear plunges a year.
Lincoln Tunnel Challenge.
The Lincoln Tunnel Challenge. We have the 3 polar bear plunges. We have one in the turkey plunge. We have in November.
Thanks for giving plunge.
Thanks for giving. It's in Asbury Park. In January, we have Wildwood. And in February, we have Seaside Heights.
Which gets about 48,000 people showing.
Yeah.
Oh, we raised $2 million in one day. I mean,
That's
it's-
friggin' amazing. 32 cops raised
Yeah.
$2 million.
Yeah, the Law Enforcement
Without-
Torture Committee
without
is
stealing
comprised of 32 cops.
It's not the hardest sell. In all honesty, it's not the hardest sell in the world. Now, our nonprofit Dental Development Project, we help first responders, and you go out and you just, hey, listen, first responders who are in need, going through a little bit of suffering, maybe a loss of life or something like that. Get people to try to give money to that. Now, how about giving money to special needs? Now, if you don't give money to that, you're a jackass.
You're a heartless bastard.
Exactly. So it's not that hard of a sell. So I believe those numbers. I really do.
Well, it's funny too because all you really have to, and we have, we have the Red Robin stuff that we do with,
We have our big events, and then every guy usually does a smaller event.
Yeah.
I always did the comedy
He'll-
show.
Todd always did a comedy
Which,
show.
I mean, it was good for
That was a
$20,000,
lot.
$25,000 for the night.
Yeah. He would run a comedy show and make $25,000 for Special Olympics in one night.
Well,
I mean, listen, there's a lot of work behind it. It's not one night, but
let
one
me,
night
let
event.
me know when you run that. I got some people I can send your way.
Cool.
We're coming to the end of this thing here. And normally what I ask every guest is, what has your suffering taught you? But it sounds like other than having a teenager in the house, there really is no suffering. But I do want to know, what's your involvement, especially as it pertains to your son, Jake? What has that taught you about life?
To appreciate it a lot more, to be forgiving.
Your skin is probably thick as hell.
Well, that started growing up in North Jersey.
and
then
being
being a cop.
and being on the torture run committee
Yeah.
because we are ruthless.
Oh, see, that's how we show love. The more vicious you are.
Right.
I
Me
tell
and-
people, if I don't like you, I'm not talking to you.
Me and Kevin say it all the time. Me and Kevin bust each other's chops ruthlessly. It's because I care about Kevin. I'm not going to come out and say, Kev, I care about you. Kev, I love you.
So that would
But
be
but on
Queer, just like what Smitty called me. We had a guy over here. He was suffering with sobriety, and I'm like, "Hey, Smitty, we lost you for a while. And I love you." And he goes, "What are you talking about? Queer? Tell him me queer." I'm like,
Well,
that's our generation.
that's a way we show our love and appreciation for each other, and that's what the torture run committee is so special to me because we're all a group of people that have the same mindset and have a common goal of Special Olympics and raising money. New Jersey is one of the only states, and correct me if I'm wrong, all of our athletes go to all of the events, whether
Right.
it's summer games, winter games, everything.
There's no cost.
No
to
cost
any
to
athlete in
them
this-
or the family because we raise so much money. This small state of New Jersey, the Law Enforcement Torch Run Committee of New Jersey, raises what we like 5th in the world in
We're
fundraising.
number one for.
Yeah, we're number
like
one for
12
years, but people finagle the money and they jumped
Yeah.
ahead of us.
We won't mention states like Florida.
In Maryland.
Yeah,
Well, Todd, thank you so much for coming in today, and
I-
it means a lot to us. So
I'm glad I finally made it.
Yeah, no kidding.
Now, when we get you back for 2, it'll be another year and a half. So we'll talk about that.
He texted me the other day and said, "I know you're going to hate me, but could I still come in?" Absolutely.
Well, it's important to have conversations like this. It's important to open people's eyes. People think, sometimes people have a likelihood to see you with your situation with your son who has Down syndrome and say, "I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry." When I
My
guarantee,
own father.
really, I
You know,
guarantee
he
you
goes,
turn
well,
around.
maybe
and go,
they'll find a cure for it. I'm like, Dad, there's no cure for it.
I guarantee you snap right back at him. And say, "Don't be sorry for me."
Hell no.
No, I'm actually.
I'm the fortunate one.
There's a lot of things about your relationship with your son that most people are very envy of, me included, on that one.
You'll never meet a parent that's mean. Even if they start out mean, after a few years, it humbles them.
Like-
And they
like we-
appreciate
well, like-
life more.
Like we talked about it, Eric, the poster boy for the
Yeah.
seaside plunge. His mother's one of the greatest people. She's the most happy-go-lucky person I've ever met.
And we went to her for his dad's funeral.
Yeah.
Like, that's how
We become family.
their family, yeah.
We become family. One of my best friends is a kid, Justin Marino. He's out of Hudson County. I know his parents very well. His parents, Alex and Hilda, and they accepted me like family. And I go to everything that Justin does. They took me to a Red Bull soccer game just
That's
because, And
Yeah, but you had to go sit through soccer.
I know it was
That's-
torture.
That's on the next episode of the Suffering Podcast. It's sitting through a soccer game.
But I was with my little buddy Justin, and we had a blast.
Yeah.
We really did.
Todd, thank you so much for coming in tonight.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. And that's going to do it for this episode of the Suffering Podcast. And it's all about special needs athletes. And it's, as always, let's think about all the stuff that we learned. Words hurt, especially when the intention is harmful. It's impossible to leave a conversation with a special needs person without a smile. It's only adversity if you believe it's adversity. And I'm going to repeat this one. Let me win. If I cannot win, let me be brave in the attempt. And that's going to do it for this episode of the Suffering Podcast. Don't forget to follow us on social media. Go to popple.com, put in TSP20 for a 20% discount. Follow the Suffering Podcast at the Suffering Podcast. Follow Mike at Mike_Failace and follow me at Real Kevin Donaldson. And we're going to see you on the next episode of the Suffering Podcast.